Just a few weeks ago, I was on a snowy beach in northern Japan, and now I'm here. Beautiful, beautiful beach in southern Thailand. I love Thailand. This is incredible. I have this beach all to myself right now too. Can you believe it? But I'm on the hunt for a snake called the Red-Headed Krait. It's a pretty rare snake. You can only really find it down here in the south, and I'm gonna be on the hunt. I'm gonna meet up with some friends in a couple days to go hunting every night to find the snake, and it's gonna be an adventure. I'm on my motorcycle and it's gonna be covering a lot of ground to find the snake. So stay tuned. This is gonna be pretty exciting. I'm stoked. I've always wanted to find the snake, so this is my opportunity to do so. All right, join the adventure. Okay, ขอบคุณครับ
ไปไหนคะ ไปไหน
ไปกระบี่ and
เอานางไปเอานาง
ไม่ใช่กระบี่Satun ขอบคุณครับ
ค่ะ
All right, I'm taking a break. The wind got pretty crazy. This is a naked bike, so let me show you. And there's no windscreen, there's no panels or anything to make it aerodynamic, so when there's wind, it hits you pretty hard. So all along the highway, I've been finding maybe every 500 meters, 1 kilometer, there's gonna be one of these huts, like little rest stops. And this is perfect. The weather's calmed down a lot and it's so nice here. So on the way down to Koh Lanta, I was taking a break. My back was hurting. This bag is pretty heavy. I just pulled over to one of these rest stops and a guy came out of his house, walked over and handed me some water. Michael, my Quinn.
My name is Tak.
Tak?
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
It's my father-in-law.
And said, hey, if you want to come sit down, take a break, you're more than welcome to do so. So I'm like, whoa, you speak English. This is like rural Thailand. So it turns out that him and his wife
She likes sushi.
I like sushi
work on cruise ships, and they're actually about to head to Louisiana next week to do a 7th-month assignment on a cruise ship. I did not expect that, but I did add some subscribers, and they also gave me some intel on this Red-Headed Krait. They're familiar with it. They've seen it. They said it's rare. They said they see cobras every other day in their yard. But this krait, it's a lot rarer. So I'm excited. I know we'll run into it. But there's another thing that I want to show you. So when I was young, we would be doing road trips all over Thailand. And one of my favorite snacks was only found on the road. And it's this. So this is actually a snack. It's a piece of bamboo, and I'm not sure if they grill it or steam it, but they fill this up with rice and sometimes coconut milk as well, but it's a type of sticky rice. Most of the time it's purple. This one's actually white. So you just peel the wood and it opens up like this. And at the top you got a little cork. This comes out. Then on the inside, let me get the focus. On the inside is just really sweet, bamboo flavored rice. What makes this really cool is on the outside of this rice, there's like this, it's not like a fabric, maybe it's the consistency of tissue paper, but this comes from the actual inside of the bamboo and the juice from the rice sticking together and just creating this layer. And this has a lot of flavor. It has its own flavor. And I really like it. Adds some depth, but this is the snack right here. Just rice and whatever this is to flavor it. It actually does taste like bamboo. Yeah, this one's not too sticky. It's a little more dry. The ones I had yesterday were a lot smaller than this. This is a pretty big one, but this is actually pretty hard. But let's see. Yeah, that tastes like bamboo. That's so good. I like it when it's a lot softer than this, but it also looks like they use regular rice and not sticky rice. So there's that. But anyways, just wanted to show you that. This is one of my favorite snacks, and I only find them on road trips. But stay tuned. The next few days are going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, but you look like popcorn food.
What?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, Michael. Just tell to your
You
friend.
know him.
You know him.
You know him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's so funny.
Have a safe trip, man.
Thank you, Kabun Crop.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Some more water?
Oh, I'm okay.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Good to meet you. Thank you. Thank you so much for catching that. It's all right. Okay. Thank you. Driving straight to Satun from Phuket would have been a little bit too much to handle in one day. It probably would have taken morning till night to get there, so I decided to split the trip up in half. I spent a couple nights on an island called Koh Lanta and went fishing, relaxed, and got ready for the second leg of the trip, which is going to be about 6 to 6.5 hours on the road. From this point onwards, my ride was going to be bumpy and windy as the place in Satun we were heading to was very rural and pressed up right against the Malaysian border. Hello. So today heading down to Satun, where I'm going to be spending the next 3 nights hunting for this red-headed krait. So I'm excited. This has been pretty awesome so far. The bike is holding up, I'm holding up, but a long way to go. One sign of a healthy ecosystem is actually finding dead snakes on the road, and I was surprised. This entire time I've been driving, I haven't seen one, but once I hit the outside of Satun province, I started running into these very large Indo-Chinese rat snakes. As sad as it is to see, when you find a dead snake on the road like that, that just means that there's snakes active, moving, feeding, and this is a diurnal snake, so that means there's snakes moving during the day. This is the dry season. There's not that many snakes around right now, so that made me pretty optimistic about our chances of finding this krait. All right, so made it to bungalows in Satun. Nice little open bungalow. Let's see. Twin bed. It's pretty neat. But we're in the middle of this national park. So we are by this river, some mountains, in the middle of a jungle. So this is gonna be a pretty awesome trip. This is our first stop here, but we're gonna be hitting some other towns too. There we go. Look at that lake. So we got a few more videos coming up when we actually start looking for the snake. Tonight I know we're gonna be herping a bit, and yeah, basically for the next 2 weeks, every single night is gonna be dedicated to finding this red-headed krait. So hope you enjoyed this video. It's been an adventure so far, and I haven't even started looking for the snake. So stay tuned. Things are gonna get interesting. After the sunset, we decided to take a walk around our accommodation and see what snakes we could find. There were a couple of nearby rivers, some nice limestone structures, and a lake, so we felt like it was going to be a great habitat for frogs, rodents, and any other food that a snake might eat. We ran into a lot of these smaller animals, which were really neat to see, but one thing that I've personally never seen before was a flying lizard. Dude. That's incredible. More specifically, Blandford's flying dragon. So there's several different species of flying lizards in Southeast Asia, and this particular one lives in southern Thailand. It has wings that extend from the sides of its abdomen, and we even saw this lizard jump from tree to tree, covering a lot more distance than I expected from a lizard this small.
Yeah, he's really cool. I've seen these fly in action. I've seen a little video.
Even though we hadn't seen a snake yet this evening, finding this lizard was pretty exciting, but we kept moving on, looking through the different habitats, and we ran into some gigantic insects posted up on the trees that made me realize, yep, you're finally in the jungle, you're finally in the rainforest. But all in all, it was a pleasant night. It was a little bit more windy than we would have liked, but there were signs of food, there were signs of us being in the right habitat, just no red-headed krait yet. Alright, so made it to Satun. I was actually surprised. This is all the way right next to the Malaysian border. There's actually the border crossing right up the road. And yeah, I had some food last night. It was like a Malaysian Thai fusion, which was interesting. I've never had that before. But yeah, made it to Satun, met up with the guys. Very first night herping, we didn't run into any snakes, but we had some flying lizards and a ton of frogs, and then eventually got leeched pretty bad. I have leech socks, and I wasn't really expecting that many leeches on the very first night. I should have been wearing the socks. I hate leeches, but I will from this point forward wear leech socks. So yeah, as you know, the goal of this trip is to find a red-headed krait, and so far 0 snakes. So today we're gonna cruise around during the day a little bit, check out a potential mangrove and some other spots that we'll hit up at night. A lot of these larger venomous snakes come out right around dusk and early night, and that's the prime time that we're gonna be hitting them. So today just gonna scout out and grab some lunch. But here in Satun, there's a beautiful lake and jungle right up against the Malaysian border.
Have you got your phone? What up? This is where Phuket.
The weather was actually really pleasant in Satun. It was nice and sunny, but not too hot. And we went to grab some lunch and talk about some of our plans for the night and for the next couple days that we're going to be in town. We didn't exactly have a solid plan for what we were going to do in Satun. The main idea was to look for different habitats and start going at different times of day to find the right conditions where snakes would start moving.
A little bit of a little bit of like investigation beforehand, and then.
One of the main habitats we wanted to explore in Satun was the mangrove systems. So there's a couple snakes in the mangrove systems that we were looking for. First, of course, red-headed kraits and banded kraits, common kraits, the 3 main kraits in the area, as well as the mangrove pit viper. So this pit viper is relatively rare, and a habitat just like this would be our best hope at finding one. These snakes are nocturnal, meaning they come out and feed at night, but we wanted to just check and see if we could find food and proper tide movement in these mangroves to warrant us the trip to come out later that night.
Oh, look at this giant mud skipper here. There's one here. Yeah, there's loads of them.
Probably one of the coolest parts about mangroves are the mud skippers. So these fish can actually absorb oxygen through their mouth and the lining around their throat, and they can stay out of water for prolonged periods of time. They can actually burrow outside of the water and survive. Even though the fish in this video look small, Mud skippers can get up to 12 inches long, and we actually ran into some of these monsters here later that night. The weather in Satun was going to be relatively dry for the next couple weeks, so we decided the mangroves were going to be our best bet at finding some of these snakes. We decided that we were going to come back after 8 o'clock tonight and start searching these mangroves carefully for the kraits and mangrove pit vipers. You know you're in the jungle when monkeys come out and attack your car. These things are violent, and these are not the friendly tourist monkeys that you might see in Phuket. It was time. We made it back to the mangroves just after 8 o'clock and began our search. It was just as we expected. The tide was going to be starting from low to high, and we were anticipating a good flood of water coming in within the next couple hours, and hoping that once the water started moving, snakes would start pushing up into the branches and making it easier for us to see them while we're walking on the platform. Once the tide turned, the water started flooding into the deeper parts of the mangrove. It actually came up through holes in the mud itself rather than flowing over the surface of the mud, like I was expecting. Part of the thought process behind this was the snakes would be hiding in holes, and once water started to move in, both snakes and their prey would start coming to the surface, and that's exactly what happened when we found our first snake, a dog-faced water snake, and our second snake, one of our targets, the mangrove pit viper. The mangrove pit viper is a really interesting snake. So Thailand has a lot of different types of pit vipers, and for the most part, these are moderately venomous snakes that don't really cause a reaction unless you are allergic or have a lot of venom that's been injected when you're bit. On the other hand, the mangrove pit viper does have fatalities on record, and the venom is strong enough to produce some severe bleeding, and you definitely need to go straight to the hospital when you're bit. But besides that, these were extremely docile snakes. This snake never showed any sign of aggression, and the fact that these snakes live in an environment like a muddy mangrove makes it very rare for this snake to actually encounter humans and provide the opportunity for a human to get bit. All right, so we just found two of our target species for tonight. So we were coming out for specifically kraits, and we haven't run into a krait yet, but we did just find a dog-faced water snake and a mangrove pit viper, which we've always had our fingers crossed on. That's an awesome snake, so I got some shots of that, and we're still on the hunt. The water is rising in these mangroves, and we're looking for a krait. Cross fingers, there's a lot of different kraits in the area, and I'd be happy with any of them, honestly, but we're gonna keep hunting. The water levels in the mangrove started to rise after another hour or two, and we had our eyes opened for different species that might be trying to get out of the water's way. One of the last ones that I did not expect to climb out of the water were crabs, and we started seeing crabs high up in the trees, hanging out on leaves just to stay out of the water's path. And we started seeing some more of these dog-faced water snakes. There were a lot of fish that were coming in from the ocean side, feeding in the mangroves, and these snakes were actively hunting these fish, and it was really awesome to see their hunting in action. We also ran into another mangrove pit viper, and I wasn't sure exactly what it was hunting, if it was hunting for frogs or fish, but we did find these monster mud skippers. These mud skippers were gigantic. They were larger than my hand. It was hard to measure them, but they could have been around 10 inches long, and being fish, these fish were still trying to escape the water. I just never in my lifetime thought I would see a fish climbing a tree. But stay tuned, coming up next, things are going to get a lot more interesting. We're going to run into a ton more snakes at our next location, which is Patalong. Patalong is another province in Thailand, and there are more snakes than I can count in this next episode.